after building up all this career in media, people thought I'm crazy. But, you just live once, and I come from the belief that I don't want to regret. And maybe it comes from that I covered Kim Jong-nam, who got assassinated, and also visited this earthquake epicenter, and you never know what's going to happen. People were living happily, but one day everything wiped up and there's a rubble. So that could happen to anyone. And you just want to be honest to yourself and listen to your heart and pursue what you should do.
Episode 15, A New Journey in Times of Change, with scholar and journalist Mizumi Dutcher. Hello everyone. I am excited to welcome today Ms. Mizumi Dutcher, who's based in Washington, D.C. So we met through mutual friends, and she grew up going back and forth between the U.S. and Japan, mostly in Japan, due to her parents, who's American and Japanese. She's been working as a journalist based in China for a very long time, but also working in D.C. as a foreign correspondent. She's now pursuing a Doctor of International Affairs at Johns Hopkins University, which is so fascinating. So I'm really excited to ask her about her journalism career, her identity, and her work in academia. And especially there's this really interesting friendship that I really want to pursue about this really renowned North Korean official. So I'm excited to ask about that as well. So thank you so much, Mizumi-san, for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be part of this program. Thank you.
So first, may I ask where you were born and raised?
So I pretty much grew up in Japan, but actually I'm born in Honolulu, Hawaii. My father is American from Boston, and he grew up in quite strict classic household, and my mother is Japanese from Chiba Prefecture, and she is from Buddhist temple family. So they are two really different personality and different background, but they both happen to work while studying in Hawaii. And University of Hawaii, they met there, fell in love, and got married, and I was born there. But after I was born, shortly we moved to Boston because my father was pursuing, he was going to this PhD degree in Harvard. So we all moved to Boston. And from there, again, we moved back to Tokyo because my dad has to do research. And he was studying about Heian period literature. Which is 1,000 years ago. It's just really hard to believe. It's so unreal for me. I'm such a practical person, so studying about 1,000 years ago literature is wow. So we all moved to Tokyo, and then from Tokyo, finally we moved to Osaka, and I went to elementary school to university in Osaka.
Okay, thank you very much. So how did you think about your identity as you grew up? I'm sure that it's hard to recall your days in Boston, but maybe you thought about it a little bit or while you were in Tokyo and Osaka.
Yeah, so when I was small, well, we were constantly moving before I got into elementary school, but I never really think too much about I'm American or Japanese, but there were a few incidents really made me think about it. And the very first incident happened right after I got to Japan. I started my kindergarten. My mom wanted me to, get used to Japanese culture and environment. So I barely spoke any Japanese, but my mom just put me in kindergarten there. And one morning she was preparing my hair and did this pigtail. By the way, we call this incident hair chopping incident. And so she sent me off to kindergarten, and I came back with one side missing. The
Oh
pink tip, one
man.
side is missing, and they were panicking. My mom was like screaming, "What happened to you?" And I was too small. I cannot really recall what was going on. I just couldn't explain myself. So she called up the kindergarten and asked and found out one of the boy got curious about my hair. It was a little bit different, bright color, and there was not much kid, foreign kid living around and going to the kindergarten over there. So they just thought, oh, they want to keep this hair or something, and they cut it. Back then, I didn't really felt I was bullied or something like that, but that was the very first realization that I'm different from my surrounding, from different from the kids surrounding me. And that was not the only one time. There's another time, a few years from then, that incident, there was a carrot incident. I was already elementary school, around maybe 9 years old or so. It was a big boom in Osaka to play with the roller skating, and I was like glazing around my neighborhood with a roller skate. And I used to have carrot as a snack. After the school, I come back and open the fridge, and there would be a peeled this carrot stick my mother would prepare for me. So I was like munching on that, and at the same time playing with my roller skate. And my friend, just spotted me and like was shocked that I'm eating the raw carrot and saying like, "What the hell are you eating? Like, why are you eating a raw carrot? Are you okay? Don't you get like stomach ache from that?" Maybe because where I was living, it was a kind of outskirt of Osaka, maybe conservative a little bit, but people thought raw carrot is for horse or rabbit. It's something to feed the animal, and for human being, we will eat cooked carrot. So that was also, again, I felt, okay, my culture, where I brought up, and the environment I brought up is a little bit different from my friend. And maybe around that time, 10 years old or so, I started to kind of try very hard to blend in with my classmates. So I keep low profile and try to blend in with other students. And I kind of got this habit to just check around and see what people are doing and just follow that. But end of the day, my name is Dutcher. My family name is Dutcher, and I don't have black hair, so I always felt I'm kind of ousted, like I'm not really total fit in the whole surrounding. And this also was the same case when I visit my cousin in United States. People they treat me as a Japanese cousin. I was in that category. So maybe I grew up pretty much feeling that, where do I belong? What is my identity? Yeah.
That is incredible. I think it's wonderful that your mom decided to enroll you in a Japanese school, because you really get to be immersed in the culture. But I can only imagine how hard it must have been if you didn't speak Japanese too much and you were suddenly thrust into that environment. And thank you so much for sharing that, those difficult incidents about your hair and the carrots and whatnot. That's something that can last and have a lasting impact on us. But did you have any friends that you could? You said that there weren't a lot of foreign kids or kids who had ties to other countries around you, but did you have people who you felt still understood you, or others that you could open up to?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to have a lot of friends be curious about me and wanted to be a friend with me. And maybe it was the place I lived was called Mino. It's a northern part of Osaka, quite countryside, full of nature, and people were rather simple. And so I don't. I feel looking back, I didn't really experience harsh bullying. There was like few incident. Just me myself felt so different and wanted to blend in, but it was not really forced to do something or something really traumatizing me to this day. Yes.
Well, okay. Well, that's good to know. And in terms of language, did you speak English with your father at home, or did you speak
I
exclusively
wish
Japanese?
I did,
Mm.
but my father was so obsessed with Japan, and he loved Japan. My
Mm.
place, our home was full of bonsai and Japanese
Ah.
furniture and
Mhm.
all this Japanese stuff. And he insists talking in Japanese. He wanted to,
Mm.
he just liked Japanese culture.
Mhm.
So we were talking 100% in Japanese at home and 100% outside. So now I'm struggling, At
Mhm.
school, I have to read a lot of English literature and all this
Mhm.
history book. I wish I was more surrounded with the English education. Yeah.
No, no, not at all. I think it's really, really amazing that you're pursuing a PhD in the United States now. And I'm also really fascinated by the fact that your father was pursuing a PhD in Japanese literature and Heian to boot. As you said earlier, that's so esoteric and something that not even many Japanese people are really knowledgeable about. So I think it's wonderful, and it really makes sense that he wanted to speak Japanese at home. So now I wanted to transition into your career in China. So could you tell me a little bit about what led you to be interested in China and what led you to study Chinese, etc.?
So China, the first contact with China was actually maybe around 10 years old or so. I had this old Chinese lady living in the same building where we were living. And she used to visit my mom and have tea and chat. And every time she comes, she brings this candy, which is milk candy wrapped in a white wrapper and have a rabbit on it.
Oh,
And
I've seen
another,
that. Uh-huh.
yeah, and another one is yellow wrapper. It's like peanut butter candy, but somehow has a shrimp in it on the wrap. I don't know. I
Okay.
don't think there's a shrimp in it, but like she will bring this two candy and it tastes good.
Mhm.
But then after getting into high school, I could choose second language to
Mhm.
study, and I chose Chinese. Maybe because of this lady and this candy, I thought I always had like good image on China. So I start learning this language, and it was kind of eye opening for me. I always didn't like my own name, Mizumi, because well, it's a beautiful name. It's written water beauty, but
Of course.
if you kind of shift the sound, it will sound mimizu, which is the earthworm. And I used to get teased with that. Like, it's so stupid. The small kids,
Mm.
they just want to have fun and just like make, do stupid tricks
Yeah.
and tease people with this stupid stuff. But it kind of stuck on me, and I kind of felt okay. Mizumi is not really a common name, and I didn't really like it. But when I first learned Chinese and read it in Chinese, it sounded really beautiful. You call it 水美 is the Chinese
Oh,
pronunciation, and
that's
it sounds
gorgeous.
kind of beautiful to me.
Hmm.
So more and more, I kind of wanted to learn and study about China, and I started to think, how about going to university after graduate from college and just go to Chinese university? I could maybe learn and see a lot in China. And I talked with my parents about it, my idea, and they were shocked and like, what are you talking about? Why are you going to China? We don't have any relatives and just no roots there.
Mhm.
Um, but I was quite determined. I don't know why, but probably like some part of me was like, I want to just get out of this corner of Osaka and just get out and see the bigger world.
Mhm.
And so we had a few rounds of talks and we settled with that. I will go to university in Japan, but I will focus on China study and learn about Chinese language. So I went to college in Kyoto and studied Chinese there. And the first holiday, the spring break, I went to China. And that was like life-changing experience for me. um, I was there. Of course, I was treated as foreigner,
Mhm.
and it was the very first time I felt, oh, okay, I'm just simply a foreigner, and I don't have to try so hard to belong to Japanese culture or as a Japanese or American. And it really kind of, I could feel that burden on my shoulder will just like dissolve, and
Mhm.
I'm just a foreigner. That's that kind of feeling. And also, for the first time, I interact with like local Chinese people talking in
Mhm.
Chinese, and I was surprised to see they were so open to their emotion, like they're just expressing their emotion.
Mhm.
And I was brought up in Japan to hide yourself and hide your emotion, and
Mhm.
just like letting it out directly is almost like rude or embarrassing thing to do. So looking at those Chinese friend, Chinese classmate, I was thrilled and wanted to study more. And
Mhm.
and after that, I did a 1 year exchange program in China, and I pretty got. I'm not bragging, but I became really fluent in Chinese
Mhm.
after 1 year studying. And yeah, people used to over the phone. People couldn't recognize I'm foreigner. I was talking
Wow.
in Beijing's dialect,
Uh-huh.
R in the very end. Yes.
Uh-huh. That is incredible. Oh,
Yep.
thank you so much for sharing that. I think what he said about you don't have to try so hard to belong is so fascinating, and I think that's really one of the primary reasons I really wanted to talk to you because, at least for me, I felt like I really need to find my own identity between the U.S. and Japan, and I kept moving back and forth. But to have the motivation to find it outside of those two countries is so interesting. What I also wanted to explore is the fascinating fact that it's kind of a interesting situation because by the time you've lived there for so long and you speak the language, then you do start to belong in China as well. So do you consider that a strong part of your identity as well? And how do you feel about it in terms of a sense of belonging? When you visit China now, do you feel like you've come home a little bit, or can you explore that a little bit?
Yeah, it's interesting that. So I totally saw different China uh, over the years. First start there being just a student and interacting with friends and just normal Chinese people. But then afterwards, I get into journalism and I start to see China uh, from maybe more politic
Mm-hmm.
vision.
Mm-hmm.
I had more interaction with Communist Party and
Right.
also, you know, seeing some how they suppress their people, own citizen. So I kind of saw different side of China,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know how I really resonate with local Chinese simple people. I have a lot
Mm-hmm.
of Chinese friends, but I feel like I'm a person who looking at China. I'm very curious and interested, and I really like Chinese culture. But I always had this position of observing things.
I see. I see. That's really interesting. And I'm sure that's also really helpful in your journalism career So I wanted to explore a little bit about how you got into journalism. Would you mind explaining that journey a little bit?
Okay, so journalism was the job I always wanted to do, starting from very small when I was very small. Because I think it's because I learned Japanese through TV, television,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to glue in front of TV and watch cartoons for hours and hours, and that was the way I learned Japanese. And eventually, I started to think, wow, working in TV station must be really fun and glamorous. Like really, people look good on TV, and all this image. So after I graduate from a university, I wanted to use Chinese, which I became really good at it, and also wanted to do the media at the same time. But I failed totally on job hunting in Japan. It went so bad. Big part of it is I just didn't really like the culture. Like job hunting in Japan, like everyone wear this recruit suit
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in Japanese. It's like an interview suit, black jacket, and crisp white shirt, and everyone would dress same. And the college gave me this pamphlet with a lot of etiquette, like how you
Oh my
should
gosh.
do in the interview. You have to bow like 30
Are you
degrees,
serious?
yeah, like this, and you have to have your hands in front of you like this, and all this stuff made me, oh wow, this is not me. I cannot do this.
Yeah.
Um, and by the time I graduate, I didn't have any offer, and I really had to think what I'm gonna do with my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to flip my script, my plan, and not searching job in Japan, but just like go to China, and if you get a job in media, that fulfills your dream. You can't be in media and at the same time using Chinese. So I just went to Beijing, and luckily, Fuji Television Beijing Bureau was looking for a researcher, and that's how I got into TV, into Fuji Television. And of course, I pitched myself like I'm really tough. I can, do a stakeout for long hours, and I'm really good at Chinese and energetic. And the culture of Fuji Television was like really open, and I'm really grateful for that. They accept me, from nowhere, and and they let me try all different kind of things. Yeah, and eventually got hired by headquarter, and I worked for Fuji Television entirely 20 years. But I was in Beijing for around 6 years, from 2006 to 2012.
Okay. You mentioned how, as a journalist, you worked with more of the political side and working with having to talk to the CCP and things like that. But how, of course, China has a reputation for controlling the press, but is it somewhat easier as a foreign media outlet, or what kind of obstacles did you have in terms of, the control that they wanted to exert?
Yeah, yeah. So I got the very different perspective on China after I joined Fuji Television, because the interaction with a lot of government. And the one assignment really stick with me and had a really strong impression to me was the Szechuan earthquake back in 2008. We were sent to the epicenter, and we got to this village very near from the epicenter. And we noticed there's just like such a high death toll in small kids. And all the parents are just okay, survive, but their only child has killed by the earthquake. And we start to look in why is this? And then we notice most of the kindergarten, elementary school, the school was totally flattened, and it's like and into the rubble, and all the office building and housing, they were just quite okay. And we were keep getting the same explanation from local people that this is 豆腐浆工程. It means tofu construction. And it was obvious from the rubble. They were using such a very thin steel bar, and there was not enough ray bar or something that you call. And it wasn't really meeting the safe code. And after digging furthermore, we found out the local constructor and the local government was totally corrupt, and the constructor was giving the bribe to get the steel. And people found this out, and the parent was furious. And every day, day after day, they would go to the local government and do a protest. And they were basically taken away dragged away from the police. And none of the Chinese media was reporting about it. And there I thought, oh, this is something foreign media have to really report it, and hoping that this gets onto internet and will be shown to Chinese local people. So that was the first time I saw what it's like to live under one party policy and without any freedom of speech. Foreign media was monitored. We didn't have freedom more than Chinese. Well, we could cover something which Chinese media wouldn't do it or won't be able to broadcast. We had that freedom, but we were closely monitored. My phone used to get jammed, or one time I could hear, when I was talking with my Tokyo headquarters, I could hear Chinese conversation in behind, like there was
weird.
third party. And I was doing a lot of interview with human rights group and also North Korean defector. So I was a little bit worried that I'll bring some risk to those people. So when I went back to Japan for a business trip, I got these devices to check the bug, like the listening devices inside of my Chinese apartment, and I found two.
What?
Yeah,
That's
one
crazy.
at my bedroom curtain rail.
What?
There was a reaction with these devices, and another one at the living room at one corner. So I quickly, call up my, well, not call, but like when I met a friend from China, embassy, Japanese embassy based in Beijing, and told this whole thing and asked to help remove this stuff.
Right.
And with my surprise, I was told not to do that. Just leave it. Because now there's, where it is. And if you remove it, if they help me remove it, they have more, other ways or advanced technique to just plant it, and you cannot detect. And in that way, you wouldn't know like where to talk about sensitive stuff. So just leave it and just not talk something sensitive around that. So I lived with this bugs for 2 years.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah.
That is incredible. I just cannot imagine, because obviously someone planted the bug while you were away, which I'm sure is creepy. Like it's where you sleep, your bedroom. Working in places like that adds a whole nother layer of stress and mental toughness that you need to have in order to deal with it. But that Sichuan story that you mentioned, so was that broadcast without any interference from the government? That was okay?
Yes. So there's no problem broadcasting in
Okay.
Japan.
Oh, I see.
Yes, but if there's a way to broadcast in China, I'm sure they will cut it. Sometime we got interference on transmitting back to Japan. They will cut the line if we're using this satellite to transmit, or if we're doing the live, they would cut if we're saying something really critical, harsh on CCP. Like that. Yeah.
I see. Okay. Oh my gosh. And related to that, I also wanted to ask about what's going on in the US right now in terms of freedom of press and freedom of speech. I think things are getting more and more difficult. Freedom of speech in terms of what's happening in the comedy and talk show realm, and freedom of press too, like the New York Times getting sued, or the Pentagon really restricting journalists that can come in. There's also journalist visa that's getting shortened and things like that. But would you have any advice based on your experience from China? Of course, China and the US are very different, but would you have any advice for journalists in how to continue to report on the government, including things that might be critical in this difficult environment?
Yeah, I saw the article, and I also talked to my friend in media based here, and they're really concerned about this, 240 limit
Hmm.
of the I visa, which is journalist visa.
Yeah.
Currently, it's 5 years, and it's like perfect for all the foreign journalists to cover America politics because
Hmm.
the presidential election cycle is 4 years, and
Right.
you need to cover, midterm and an election. That's the main thing we do here.
Yeah.
So if it's only 8 months valid, um, people might think, rethink, um, should I be too harsh to the U.S. policy? Maybe I should,
Right.
that this kind of thought might cross their mind, and I think this is not really healthy way of thinking for journalists. You have to have a good relationship with the federals and White House. To do that, you have to need longer term period of visa,
Hmm.
and it kind of a little bit reminds of China. Well, of course, it's different in China and
Yeah.
in U.S., but China also has this uh, press visa, which is 1 year.
Mm.
And in China, people if they are too harsh on party, CCP, they will get summoned and get asked, and the visa was always the leverage to control the media.
Mm.
So I know U.S. and China is so different, and America is the free speech country. But I mean, it's just really, I feel a little bit worried that how is this going to develop? Yeah.
I see. Okay. So you, after working in Beijing, you worked in DC as the DC bureau chief, which is incredible. And so I think you straddled two different administrations, and you were working from 2018 to 2022, right? And so, are there any stories that you're particularly proud of during your time in DC?
Um, well, I felt I'm very fortunate to be here in this timing, and it, DC bureau chief is like a dreaming position for all the
Mm.
Japanese reporter, and I was able to cover President Trump's first administration for 2 years, the last 2 years of his first administration, and also President Biden's 2 years in his administration. And I covered COVID, Black Lives Matter, the election, and Afghanistan withdrawal. It was all very pivotal moment. Um, and if I wasn't here, I probably didn't notice that how American people are feeling the pain that there's a lot of people who lost their daughter and son in the war, and
Mm.
also the middle class is being hurt over this 10 years with globalization. A lot of industry moved out of the country, and many people losing their jobs in the mid class. And that's something I didn't know when I was in
Mhm.
Japan. And I was just listening about the such a lot of hatred is coming booming up and coming to the surface, and it needed me to understand where is this coming, and I starting to understand maybe this is the voice who've been forgotten from, who is just not being heard for such a long time, and it's emerging, and it's not really ending at the edge of America. It's changing the U.S. policy towards Japan and changing, a lot of stuff. So I feel like I'm really in a timing that the whole critical change is happening in U.S. and also in U.S.-Japan alliance. And
Okay.
yeah, I'm learning every day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. And I wanted to shift gears a little bit and ask about your transition into academia. So I understand that one of the biggest motivation is what happened with Kim Jong-nam and your friendship with him. Would you mind explaining a little bit of that journey?
So I first interviewed Kim Jong-nam back in 2007 in Beijing. I don't think a lot of people know about Kim Jong-nam, but he is the half brother of Kim Jong-un, the current leader of North Korea, and he's the eldest son of Kim Jong-il, who was the leader before. Back then, Japanese people were very curious about North Korea, was wanting to know the reason why North Korea is flying missile over Japan and why they're abducting just normal Japanese citizens from Japan and take them to North Korea. So there was a lot of crazy stuff going on, and also Kim Jong-il, that period of time, the leader of North Korea, his health had issue, and we were starting to talk about who's going to be the next leader. But we didn't know where he lived and where to look for him. Everyone wanted to do an interview with him because he could be a pretty good candidate to succeed North Korea regime, because he's the eldest son. And one day in 2007, the reporter from Japan, he was having a vacation in Macau, which is the southern part of China, and he just like bumped into Kim Jong-nam on the street, and he took a picture and did a really brief interview, and that was put on a newspaper. And after that, that really triggered everyone. Everyone flew into Macau with teeny tiny size of just 1/10 of Washington D.C. But there was around like 100 Japanese media was there
Wow.
looking for him. It's like a real where's Waldo or something like that.
Yeah.
So we will go to hotels and casino or shopping mall just looking for him. And we were there a week. Of course, it's not that easy. We couldn't find him. And most of the media gave up and went back. And I also went back to Beijing. But around 1 month later, there was one guy, my colleague, stubbornly stayed there, and he spotted him getting onto the airplane flying into Beijing. So he called up, and I just spotted him getting into the plane. So be prepared and wait him at Beijing. And that's how I first interviewed him and was able to talk a little bit. It was only like 7 minutes or 8 minutes, but the impression I got for him was like really polite and in a way kind of confident. Like usually if you're kind of staked out and your camera's there, people wanted to run away,
Right.
But he was like very calm and didn't seem to really scared of our media. And spoke pretty good English. And from there, I gradually built up a relationship, and our relationship kind of last 10 years. We had email exchange and chat. We we used to, chat each other with SMS. Yeah, so that's how I started, and we had 10 years back and forth exchange. Yeah.
Thank you. When we were preparing for this, you had mentioned to me that you recognized in Kim Jong-nam a sense of loneliness that that is familiar to you, that probably comes from growing up in different countries, going back and forth. And for him, it's even more acute because he can't really be in North Korea. So would you mind explaining a little bit about the rapport that you built with him?
Yeah. So after I did this first interview back in 2007, I still couldn't really find where he lives, and we were just starting. I became really close after 2009. I found where he lives in Macau, and I kind of staked out at his apartment, and he was worried that I will broadcast that where he lives in Macau. So I didn't mean to intimidate or use this, but we came to a deal. Okay, I will never, I will keep your privacy, and that's not my intention. I want a chance to, know you more a little bit and understand about North Korea and you. So we made a deal. We will meet and off the record, just like as a friend, have tea and or have dinner together and talk about just day-to-day stuff. And there I started to know him more personally, and he kind of shared his bringing ups and his journey in his life. When he was 9, he moved to Switzerland to get an education, and after that he went to Russia to pursue his high school. And by the time he went back to North Korea, he was almost already an adult, in late teens, and he just didn't really fit there, and he couldn't even eat kimchi. It was too spicy for him, so he was like totally a different person. He's not really a North Korean, ordinary North Korean. So he seems to really struggle with where should he put himself, and that really felt quite similar to me. So he started to really trust me, and I introduced my mom to him. We had dinner together. And he also introduced his son and daughter. So we became really a good friend, and pretty talked a lot on different issues. Yeah.
That is so wonderful, and I can only imagine how shocking and terrible it must have been to lose him. What was your last exchange with him, if you don't mind recalling? And what was it like hearing about it?
So, so he got assassinated in Malaysia international airport of Kuala Lumpur, in 2017, and he was just about to board on a plane and go back to Macau, where his family is. So it was like ordinary trip for him, but he was all of a sudden approached by 2 women, and he got smeared this liquid on his face, and this 2 lady also was tricked by North Korean intelligence that this is just a prank, but actually it was they were putting this toxicated VX, which is really one of the very dangerous substance in the world, and Kim Jong-nam's organ will start to shut down, and he couldn't even make it to the hospital. He died in the ambulance. And I first got a phone call from my headquarters. I was in Japan. I was covering Japanese domestic politics, and Korean headquarters was telling me South Korean media just reported that a man who looks like Kim Jong-nam was killed in Kuala Lumpur. And that was Valentine's Day night,
Oh man.
just next day of the assassination. And I start to kind of call the WhatsApp and trying to, get hold and just make sure and hoping that that's not him. So the phone is ringing actually, but no one picks up. And I fanatically like sending a short message, and it never got read. Yeah, and the very last exchange I had with him was 1 month prior to this assassination. It was New Year, and we exchanged a message, greeting for New Year's, and that was the very last time I heard from him.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. And I'm sure he really appreciated your friendship, because I'm sure that there are very few people around him that he could truly trust. And yeah, I'm sure that he recognized in you also a sense of camaraderie, because you have different identities and growing up in different cultures and whatnot. So thank you so much for sharing that. And would you mind explaining that transition over to academia? So I understand that your research topic is now very much related to Kim Jong-nam and the circumstance surrounding his death.
Yes. So I'm currently on a doctor program of SAIS. I started last year, and I'm researching on, well, I'm using Kim Jong-nam as a case study. And I thought this is really unique case study. I have, the first-hand resource of the mail exchange and the memo I made after the interview. So I thought maybe I can use this window to really understand what's the relationship, how he was treated in China, and what's the relationship of China and North Korea. And just lately we saw the picture that Xi Jinping was inspecting the army on the parade, side by side with Putin and Kim Jong-un. So people might think, what's going on with this three country? And I'm hoping this memo could, shed a little bit of light on what's the real relationship with North Korea and China, and also with Russia.
Okay, thank you. And why did you decide to pursue your studies in the U.S. as opposed to other countries?
Well, I think maybe it has to do with just I happen to be here, and I felt towards the end of my bureau chief career here, assignment, more and more I was feeling uncertainty. Things are shifting so fast, and you just feel like you don't have the center, you don't have the core, and this is the time where you really have to have something to hold on. And I felt like I'm missing that. I need to really dig something and have something not moving, and I can really hold on to. So I felt this is really the timing I have to step out, because media, it's a job you have to cover a story every day, day to day story. There's, things are keep changing, and you have to catch up with that. So I need to have a halt in there. I need to stop a little bit and step back and see what's going on, and dig on something, and trying to find a center for me.
Yeah, thank you. And I think it's so courageous of you to be able to say, well, I'm going to have a different career now. What are you interested in afterwards, after you graduate? I'm sure you have, I don't know, different areas that you're thinking of, but do you have any plans at this time?
Well, I decided to kind of give up. Well, not give up, but quit my job in Fuji Television, which everyone thought I'm crazy. Climb up all this ladder and got this great job as a DC bureau chief, and all my friends was saying like, "You're ruining your life. What are you doing?" But I think after I joined, I start my journey in academia. I starting to see a new path, and I opened the door to a lot of new opportunity, and I'm pretty grateful for that. After my doctor degree, I'm looking into. I want to do something, focus on U.S. China relationship, because that's the two element I have. I have background in. Lived in China, and also lived in U.S. and working here. So I'm hoping to kind of researching and analyzing how this relationship will evolve in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So probably I will look for a job in U.S. Depends on the market. Now I hear a lot of kind of anxious report about the job market, but I try to keep it optimistic and search for a job after the graduation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I think you will be so popular because, yeah, the fact that you're so thoroughly knowledgeable about China, Japan, and the U.S., and even North Korea too, and the fact that you're fluent in Japanese and Chinese is so strong. I think that's really wonderful. And you mentioned how so you've been in the U.S. for a while now, and you'd like to stay here. But do you think your identity, the American part of your identity, do you think that's changed now that you've lived here for a bit?
So now this is my seventh year in U.S. Um, and definitely there's a kind of regaining my connection with America,
Mm.
because I pretty much grew up in Japan, and I only visited U.S. for a very short time. So having American style Thanksgiving and Christmas with my cousin, that really feel like I'm trying to gain and reconnect again with American culture.
Mhm.
But I don't know. Lately, I don't really think about identity anymore. So I feel like I'm
Oh.
pretty much been living so much multiple culture. I don't know anymore. um, well, of course, my comfort food is Japanese food, and I have my American dad. So I think this both culture is rooted inside of me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Great. The fact that you said that you're not thinking about your identity too much anymore, I think that's the best answer because when we have to think about identity, it means that we're kind of uncomfortable where we are right now, and we're having to rethink, like, am I in the right environment? What is the happiest environment for me, and things like that. So the fact that you're not debating that anymore, I think that's so wonderful, and you seem to be really at home, which is great. I wanted to ask if you have any advice for others who might be struggling with their identity or facing difficult life choices.
Yeah. So, like growing up with a multicultural background, I think this is definitely a challenging thing because you always feel like you don't belong anywhere. And there was definitely a point in my life that I felt like I'm so lonely and no one would understand me. Um, but actually, it became my asset. Like I got this skill to read the room or read into people's thinking. That was like survival skill. Like to survive, I need that
Mm.
skill. But it became a great asset for me in journalism. I like every time I do an interview, I would look into the people, maybe a little bit deeper than other person. So I
Mm.
was always able to kind of pull out some stuff, and I thought this is definitely coming from my brought up with a multiple culture. So I think, you should think this is not a burden, but asset
Hmm.
and kind of extra antenna that, you should use that.
I love that extra antenna. That's awesome. And how about people who are thinking about a second career or transitioning into a completely different field, but are hesitant because they've built up so much and they've invested so much in their previous career? Would you have any advice to encourage people to pursue, yeah, their dreams in a different career?
Yeah, well, as I said, like after um, building up all this career in media, people thought I'm crazy, but you just live once. And I come from the belief that I don't want to regret, and
Mm,
maybe it comes from that I covered Kim Jong-nam who got assassinated,
mm,
and also
mm.
visited this earthquake epicenter, and you never know what's going to happen. People were living happily, but one day everything wiped up, and there's a rubble. So that could happen to anyone. So,
Mhm.
and you just want to be honest to yourself and uh, live the listen to your heart and pursue what you should do. So now I don't regret. It's definitely difficult. I quit my job in 40s and got into academia, and all my surrounding is like a 20 years old
Mm.
student, and they seem to act quick than me, and
Mm.
sometimes I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so old and
Oh.
tired. But um, I think what is important is, as I said, honest with yourself. Of course, I have those down days. I feel I'm useless, and I just want to curl up and lie down on a bed and watch YouTube for hours. And there's many days I've gone through that.
Uh-huh.
Um, but most important thing is be kind to yourself. It's okay. You're a human being. You have down days, but kind to yourself, and be honest to yourself, and don't let the age or fear hold you back. Especially now, it's things are shifting so fast. You never
Mhm.
know what you're going to do next year. You don't know the economy from now, like a few months from now. Like so many things is uncertain, and I feel like especially this kind of environment, just staying and just being protective is even
Mm.
more risk. Um,
Mhm.
so I want to encourage people, if they have a strong feeling, just go for it.
Thank you so much. That was incredibly powerful. The fact that, we do talk often about you only live once, but it feels so real coming from you, seeing people who, yeah, passed away just like that. And we really have to think about our long-term dreams. And the fact that you said that it's a bigger risk now to just stay in the status quo. I think that's incredible. And it really resonated with me, and I'm sure it will for a lot of other people as well. So thank you so much. I think that covered everything that I wanted to ask, but is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I just want to be help to a person who's struggling, because um, I gone through that, and I'm still also struggling.
Yeah.
Trying something new. It's always a struggle. So, um, yeah, I just hope my experience will be some sort of help to other than that. That will be the most happiest thing for me. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Mizumi-san. I really, really appreciate this opportunity.
Yeah. Thank you so much.